Hello everyone. I hope you enjoy the videos and I expect also the last video that we shared with you, you liked the most and that's what I could find out. But uh, let me tell you, in our last video, we had discussed some strategies in this particular 1 month that we need to prepare for our best for the CAT 2025, which is going to help in the end of the month of November, right? And in my last video, I discussed some of the strategies pertaining to this 1 month which we have now. So in this 1 month, then what we supposed to do? And for that, I discussed that the first week onwards till the last week, isn't it? I stated that week one, what you supposed to do, week two, what you supposed to do, week three, right? Till 3 of the weeks, what our strategy would be for the CAT exams that we discussed in our last video. So uh, today we are going to discuss the fourth fourth week, and that would be the final stage. We can say that. And in this stage, what would be our strategies? Right. Let's talk about that. Let me point out, CAT is not an easy exam, isn't it? It is a kind of an entrance exam where means students who come out from the various backgrounds and various streams, so which have you know which have a kind of a dream of reaching to the top-notch organization or getting into the admission into the top-notch exam, top-notch colleges. So that's the region for which what happened. Competition is very vast, right? Every year we find out more than 2 lakhs or 2,50,000 students are appearing for the CAT exams, but out of them, a few students able to crack it to get the admission into India's best management colleges, isn't it? So, in that case, you need to motivate every day, that you need to determine yourself, you need to make yourself passionate, right? You need to think of your strengthening and weakening areas, isn't it? So not only in English section but also in other two areas that called the TILR and quant section, right? Fine. Those are the things that you need to follow besides your routine for the preparation in English section. You also make the preparation for the routine for the DILR and quant section too, isn't it? So and also you need to take care of your health, right? Because health comes first. Okay, so it's not like what you need to uh, wake up or means till the midnight and you sleep uh, till 10 o'clock in the morning, right? You need to understand that one thing. Uh, you have to also make your mind that what could be your daily life schedule, isn't it? Fine. Coming to the point, week four, final stage. In this, we are going to discuss a couple of things that RC mock series and strategic mastery, right? And for that, you need to follow 30 to 45 minute uh, daily, isn't it? That is what is necessary. Let's come to the first one. It's called as a day one. So when you talk about day one in the fourth week, right? What your strategy would be? Your strategy for the RC is nothing but sorry, nothing but you need to follow with the abstract RC combo, right? When I said that abstract RC combo, it means I'm talking about mind and language plus ethics. Mind and language plus ethics. It means you may find out the passages like the evolution of consciousness and the birth of psychology. It's a philosophy-based uh, passage, the evolution of consciousness and the birth. You may find out passages pertaining to technology and ethics. Let's say that moral machines, can AI understand ethics? So, in such kind of a passages, your focus should be what? Understand that these type of passages are providing with the abstract ideas, right? When we say abstract ideas, it means I'm talking about imaginary ideas, right? So, linking examples with the author's argument. So, these are the focus you need to point out when you find out such kind of a philosophy and technology and ethics based passages. So, what could be your strategy into it? Focus is this. Strategy would be what? The strategy is called as once you find out the passage, your priority is called as scheme, right? Scheme first line of every paragraph. Why? Now, because to jot down some common ideas, right? So, your priority is called as outline flow, isn't it? Second is called as you need to note down contrast connectors. Contrast connectors means called as register. Ah, again. Now, okay. So that's what I'm telling you that you need to follow the strategy. So the strategy would be for this, it's called as a scheme first line of every paragraph to get the outline flow. Secondly, it's called as you need to note down the contrast connectors. Contrast connectors means, let's say that but, however, yet, though, although, nevertheless, despite, all such kind of a connectors that you need to note, right? Third is called the when go to the question and see that what kind of a question is provided to you. Second is called when you look at the choices, right? So you follow the elimination approach. I hope you all know that elimination approach. That's what we generally do when we get RC based questions. And probably you would find out that two options seem correct, right? Pick the more, which is nothing but a general one that fits the main idea best, right? So this is what you can follow. Like the first step that go through the passes, focus with the means what kind of ideas are pointed. Third is called as try to identify linking examples with author's argument. Third is called as follow the strategy. And fourth one is called as that is what you need to practice. So you shall not stop here. You need to practice. Practice means you need to follow with the two passages into 5 questions each, right? So it means 10 questions. And look at the time, how much time you are devoted for this two passages. So 25 minutes will be okay, right? So within 25 minutes, you try to complete the text and follow with all kind of approaches which I told. So third is called as a review. Review what? Review, you take 15 minutes to review what you have done. So it indicates that you underline 2 lines, isn't it? That is what you can do, right? Then we'll go for the second day. So day two. In day two, you can go to any of the famous websites like Economist Plus, or you can say that Guardian, right? So these are the sites where you would find out RCs, right? And in RCs, what you're supposed to do, you need to choose the proper subject types. Like last week we discussed that the mind and language plus ethics. This time you need to go with the society and culture, right? So in society and culture means I'm talking about look at that kind of a passages, right? You may get a kind of a passage called as the economics of happiness. The economics of happiness, cultural memory, and the power of storage. So these kind of passages generally deal with the society and culture, isn't it? And here, when you find out the society and culture based passages, means the focus in such kind of passages are nothing but called as a tone and author's attitude, right? That is the first one, focus, tone, and author's attitude. Second, it's called as inference and accept, best, list, and most based question tracks, isn't it? So that is what you would find out in a focus. That is what means a candidate's focus must be. Third is called a strategy. What strategy you supposed to point out in such kind of passages in a day two. Now, the thing is that the strategy would be identify whether the author is a neutral, critical, or appreciative. Neutral, critical, or appreciative. That is what the first one. When you read the text, you need to determine that any of the text you read, your priority is called as what does the author try to point out? What is the author's tone? What is the author's attitude looking at the text? Right? So in that case, whether the author is a neutral, critical, or appreciative, that you need to determine in the first strategy. Secondly, it's called as what kind of questions are providing. So whether the questions are accept-based question, best-based question, list-based question, or most-based question, or only-based question, right? So why do I talk about that? These type of questions, because this type of questions focus with the eliminate all through lines first, right? Third is called as for tone. If you find out any question which is asking for the tone-based question, so you need to look for adjectives, adverbs, verbs, and conclusive verbs. You can say that. Like you need to look at the extreme words like must, should, seems, isn't it? These are the things that you need to focus. Okay, so that is the D2. Again, I'm talking about the two passages, nothing else, not more than that. So here also, you need to not stop here. You need to practice at least two passages, 10 questions. It means each passage consists of five, right? Five questions. So 10 questions, total 25 minutes plus 15 minutes analysis, right? So, and if you find out any of the wrong answer as means F, right? So mark it F and find out the means trap where you got wrong, fact trap, or means if you find out I, so inference trap, fact trap, or inference trap. That is what you need to follow in the day two. Got my point? Now, let's move to the day three. In day three, what we find out? We find out means again we're supposed to go for the another type of question that called as a science and human behavior type of question, right? Or type of passages, science and human behavior. So that you can draw from the kind of websites that you can say that Time, right? You can say that Time as a magazine, right? Or you may find out Time as a newspaper or news articles, right? Or you can go for the EON, AEON. So Time or EON. There you get the arts, and those arts could be science and human behavior subjects. Is it clear? So in those of the arts, you need, let me give you some example of the some kind of a passages which deal with the science and human being. The first one, you can take it as the biology of belief. The biology of belief, that is one of the example, science and human behavior example. Second is called the psychology of risk taking. The psychology of risk taking. So if you find out such kind of a passages from those of the sites, right, then your focus would be what? You look at the logical reasoning. Logical reasoning is called as a coherence of the paragraphs given in the passage. So what is the what have you understood from it? Whether that passage covered with the cause and effect flow or not, cause and effect flow. So third is called as a distinguish between assumption and conclusion, isn't it? Now, have you drawn? Now you find out the passages. Second is called as the focus. Is called as a logical reasoning and cause and effect flow. Third is called as a try to identify the differentiation between assumption and conclusion, isn't it? So here also you need to follow the strategy. The strategy would be uh, uh, highlight cause words like because, due to, since, for, as, all such kind of words or phrases known as the cause words, right? So at the same time, ask yourself, does the author say this? Does the author imply this? Or does the author imply it? Isn't it? So what does the author want to convey? What is the outcome that the author points out at the end of it, end of the passage? So, such kind of a means inference or such kind of a questions must come to the mind of the students, right? So, if you find out some of the question or called as such kind of a passages, then with questions and choices, then look at that. Means you read the question, then after you go for the choices. So you prefer options that summarize relationships, not only fact or isolated facts, right? So that is what you need to prefer options. Uh, Likewise, also I would say you're also you need to follow the practice. The practice is called as a 10 question, 25-minute, 10-minute. You can say that post test, right? So then you can say that look at line evidence in three questions you guessed, right? So means look at line evidence for three questions you guessed. So uh, imagine that these three are the answers. Whether these answers are given in the passage or not, that you need to look for, right? You make yourself confident enough that what you have guessed uh, could be at least 80 to 90% correct, isn't it? Now, this is there. Now, we'll move to the next one that's called as a day four. In day four, you were supposed to go with the what? Mixed RC. Mixed RC means I'm talking about philosophy plus modern society. Philosophy plus modern society. Here also you can take two passages like freedom and responsibility in the digital age. Freedom and the responsibility in the digital age. Second, it's called as the idea of progress. The idea of progress, a modern myth, right? So these two passages you can take it, or you find out any of the passages that uh, presented with the theme philosophy, that presented with the um, what you can say that philosophical subjects or modern society, right? So in that case, then your priority would be focusing with the main arguments. What is the main argument? What are the means? What are the summary-based questions can be found, right? If there any kind of a summary-based questions are given or not. Second, it's called as paraphrasing central ideas, isn't it? These are the focus points you must keep in your mind. Main argument and summary questions, paraphrasing central ideas, isn't it? So here you can follow the strategy. The strategy would be combine the first plus last paragraph. Combine first and last paragraph. That's your base for summary. It means on the basis of the first paragraph, on the basis of the last paragraph, you draw what would be the summary, right? So, and that is what you paraphrase and understand better. So, eliminate answers that introduces new examples that sound too narrow, or you can say that too extreme, too narrow or too extreme. That is what you need to do. Here also, you need to follow the practice. Practice is called as a 10 questions, 5 per passes, and 30-minute test plus 10-minute analysis. Understood? So it's a day four, mixed RC, philosophy plus modern society. You can take any two passes that presented with the subject type. Focus is called as a main argument, summary-based question, paraphrasing the central ideas. Strategy is called as a read the first paragraph and the last paragraph. That's your best summary. So eliminate options that introduces new ideas or called as sound too narrow or too extreme, isn't it? So besides day 4, we'll come to the day 5, and day 5 will deal with uh, subject types would be history plus literature, right? So you can say that in humanities RC, history plus literature. Passes could be romantic, right? Romanticism and the rise of emotion in literature. Romanticism and the rise of emotion in literature. Second, you can also talk about industrial revolution and the human spirit. These two examples I pointed for the history plus literature. You can get this kind of topic from the humanities RC. Uh, and here, a candidate has to focus with the vocabulary, that is the priority. Vocabulary in context and implied meaning. What does it imply? Connotation based, right? Not denotation based. Connotation means on the basis of the context. What could the line imply, right? What is the meaning of that word which author suggested in a um, particular sentence in the paragraph or in the penultimate paragraph. So you're also supposed to follow with the looking tone, diction, and theme. Tone, diction, and theme, isn't it? So I told you the kind of subject types: history plus literature. So history plus literature RC, and I gave you some example of the passages. Third is called as a focus. Fourth one is called as a strategy. So what could be the strategy one has to follow when one gets history plus literature based passages? See, the thing is that what when we are talking about strategy, it means I need to first understand what kind of a passage is this. Right. Once I find out this is the kind of a passage, then my focus will be what I supposed to find out in this passage that make me hindrance or barrier, isn't it? So then I need to apply the strategy. Let's say that if you are applying strategy in such kind of a passages for vocabulary in context. So I need to read the sentence, reread the sentence before and after the word given into it, which is I pointed the notation or contextual based. Second, it's called as a for meaning, right? So for meaning, I need to test options by substituting them in the sentence, right? So substituting in place of that sentence, I need to put this sentence, right? Third, it's called out check. I'll check that if words like nostalgic, critical, optimistic fit into it or not, right. So because that indicates about the tone, isn't it? So then once I do all such kind of analysis or evaluation, then I need to do such kind of passages many a time. So I need to do the practice like 12 questions in 30 minutes, 10-minute error review. So, and also find tone markers, right? So any of the tone markers there. Cool? Now, I hope you're drawing some idea out of this. Now, let's go for the day 6, right? In this day 6, we need to follow with the full mock RC, right? Or you can say full length RC mock test. Full length RC mock test means what? I'm saying that when I say full length RC mock test, imagine that in CAT, how many passages are there? 4 passages are there. How much time is given? 40 minutes is given. But 40 minutes is not for the 4 hours. We have also some VA-based questions, 8 VA-based questions. So for the 4 RCs, here when I say full length RC mock test, it means I'm talking only about the RC. Let's take 4 RC passages, right? Like you can say that mix of science, philosophy, and culture. Science, philosophy, culture, history, literature, modern society, science and human behavior, society and culture, and ethics and values, isn't it? So on all these passages, right, all variety of subject types that we have done, right? So take four passages from these kind of subject types, right? You may find out system questions total, and the time limit is uh, taken for it 40 to 40 minutes. It means stick to the time. 40 minutes means 40 minutes. You can't go beyond, right? So, and your goal would be what? Now, simulate your real exam condition. So, you need to put yourself in a kind of an environment where you're supposed to feel like what you're giving actual CAT exams, right? No pausing or rereading too much. No pause or rereading too much. Isn't it? You need to track your speed like 2.5 minutes per question. 2.5 minutes per question. That is what I would suggest. Or you can say 2 minutes per question. You can say, remember, understand. That's what you can do, isn't it? Once this goal is finished, that's something called as a real exam condition, tracking speed. You need to follow with the after test. So what happened after test? You need to evaluate that how many questions answer you have done correct and how many questions answer you have done wrong. So that's what is called as you need to find out score out of system, right? So note how many were 100% evidence-based, right? So it means on the basis of the evidence, you chose the answer, and versus how many questions answers have been institution-based. Intuition-based is what? Like you try to guess it and you know about it. You're familiar with such kind of questions. You find out which questions are easy and moderate best question, but you also find out some of the questions which are 100% evidence based, right? So that is what you need to know. Then third is called as identify your top two weak question. Which of the two question types that put you in trouble? Let's say that you may find out questions which are accept based, inference based, flaw based, summary based questions, or you find out questions which are what you can say parallel reasoning, or you may find out the question which is nothing but assumption based, right? So, or tone based, or central idea based questions, or called as key idea based questions. So, which of the top two question types that put you in, right? So, once you find out that, you need to work on this, right? You need to work on this. Then this is day 6. Finally, when you go for the day 7, and day 7, we need to focus on what master review and RC confidence, right? So what we're supposed to do day 7, that's called as the end of the month, master RC and master review and RC confidence. So what is that RC confidence boost? Now remember, when I talk about the day 7, it means I need to prepare the last minute task. So I need to build my personal toolkit, personal RC toolkit, isn't it? So when I say that review and confidence boost, it means I'm talking about to build my personal RC toolkit, right? So I need to create tasks, right? Means like what I had or what I have reviewed all weeks. So write my top 5 reading lessons that I learned. So second is called as I need to revise one passage, means for week 2 or week where I had maximum errors, right? And I need to apply all. That's what I would say here, or that what when we come to day 7, what we find out, we need to focus with the master review and RC confidence boost. It means when I say master review and RC confidence boost, here we need to focus that I need to build my own RC toolkit, right? Or personal RC toolkit. It means I, what my task would be. I need to review always what I have done, right? So I need to write my top 5 reading lessons that I have learned, right? Second, it's called the I or means I'm required to go for the what redo one passage from week 2 or week 3 that I had done maximum errors, isn't it? So or where I had done maximum. So, and I need to apply all new strategies there. So, I need to see that whether the new strategies help me to crack the answers or not. Third, it's called as I supposed to go for the creating my own RC jet set, right? Uh, that you that you experienced by doing the last 3 weeks, whatever you have done and whatever the strategy you have applied, even the including the 4th week. So that's what you can do here. Then checklist for mastery. It means the first one is called as a map paragraph. Mapping paragraph flow in every in less than 2 minutes. So you need to point out the passage less than 2 minutes or less than means you can select not actually passage. Each paragraph in the passage in every 2 minutes. Or you can map paragraph flow in less than 2 minutes. That's what you can do. That is the first thing. Second thing is called that you find 2 blanks for every correct, right? And you handle inference questions confidently. So these are the checklist for mastery. Besides that, also your accuracy should be maintained 80% plus under time. Isn't it? That is what you're supposed to follow. Again, I would like to tell that what when I say RC chipset, it means what is that RC chipset? RC chipset is nothing but called as a quick reference of whatever you have experienced, isn't it? Let's say that if I would say that the 5 key parts in RC chipset, one is called as a reading flow that I need to remember. Second is called as a question type strategy. Third is called as elimination tricks. Fourth one is called as a tone and attitude guide. And fifth one is called as a common RC tracks. These are let's say that what means when I say a reading flow, that called as a map the passage. Reading flow means what? Map the passage. So here the priority is called as understand the structure before details. Understand the structure before details. So, and here what we're supposed to do, we're supposed to look at that the first and the last paragraph, right, equal to 70% of the main. That is what we need to understand when we say mathematics, isn't it? So, we need to follow such a step, what to do and what will be the result. So, what to do? Read first sentence of each paragraph. Why? Now, because to get topic and direction. To get what? Topic and direction. Second is called as watch for transition words, like I pointed, but, however, yet, all those, hence. So why? That we will see or we check spot turning point. Spot turning points. Third is called as we need to also look at the examples and the contrast. Why? Because examples and contrast are giving identify group and the counter arguments, right? Then fourth is called as read the last paragraph carefully. Why? To find out the conclusion of author's tone. Then fifth, it's called as a summarize in 5 words or less. So that forces focus on main. That forces what? Focuses on main. Isn't it? So are you clear? I hope you are clear with all such kind of things. When we go for the question type strategy, that is called as a second chipset, reading flow, we understood. Then second is called the question type strategy. When I say question type strategy, we need to see that type of the questions, uh, what it to test, and how to test. Three of them. Type, what it tests, and how to test. Let's say that type is called as the author asks a question, means on the basis of your reading to the means of text. Would you think that the author's main idea, or which of the options presents the best summary of the passage given? So in that case, this is a main idea-based question, key idea-based question, or summary-based question. So what it tests? It's a test, nothing but called as a grasp of overall argument. Grasp of or holding means overall argument. Third, it's called as a how to tackle. Now, you need to eliminate narrow or extreme options. Pick the one that covers all the main themes or main ideas. Isn't it? That is called as means main idea of summary-based question that you're supposed to tackle. Second, it's called as inference-based question. So when we talk about inference-based question, it means I'm talking about understanding the basic facts, right? So, so here, how do you tackle that? You need to tackle by looking for lines that imply the answer, right? Never pick something which is totally new. What my call? Third, it's called as a tone or attitude. When I say tone or attitude, it means it is indicating author's emotional stance. When I say author's emotional stance, I need to check adjectives and verbs, and I need to note if a tone is critical, harsh, or analytical, or hopeful, right? So that is what the way we need to tackle the question pertaining to main idea, summary, inference, or tone, or attitude. The fourth one is called as accept or not, or best, list, most, or only true, right? On the basis of the questions that has been given for the checking students, that what accuracy, right? Let's say that if we need to tackle such kind of questions, I need to look at that all the true statements, and we need to eliminate the one which is a false. Got my point? Likewise, if I suppose to go for the next type, we can say that vocab in context, right? If I say vocab in context, it means it tries to test whether the student or candidate understand the passage or not. So it means the candidate understand the passage properly or not. So in that case, you need to reread the line where the word or particular line is given. So you need to read it before and after the words or sentences presented. So replace the word with each option and see whether that word given in the option fits or not, or best or not. What my point? So that's called as a vocabulary. The last one, I can say that purpose of exam. So sometimes also the example is given and in a quote, right? So here it is tested for what? Why this example is used. Usually, example is given for the sake of what? Illustration, contrast, or strengthen the argument, isn't it? So that is what we need to find out when you are talking about what you can say that option question types. Then we'll go for the elimination tricks. Like elimination tricks is also known as a smart thoughts, right? And when I say elimination strategy or elimination tricks or smart thoughts, so I could say that what elimination options that are generally too extreme. Try to remember too extreme. Uses words like always, never, completely, or entirely. Isn't it? These are nothing but the too extreme. So second is called as a too narrow, like focuses on one example or only one paragraph, right? The third is called as a too broad. When I say too broad, it means it asks ideas, not discuss. stars, ideas that are not discussed. So, fourth one is called the opposition meaning, like what the passage is trying to say. The option which contrast to it or contradicts passage direction, right? And the fifth one is called as emotionally loaded. When I say emotionally loaded, it means it uses strong opinion where author is neutral, right? So then which of the options I should take here? Now you need to keep options that are balanced, right? You need to keep options that are balanced first. Second is called the keep options that are evidence supported in the passage. You are underlined the proof line and reflective of author's tone, not yours. So when we talk about tone and attitude guide, it means I'm talking about what kind of a tone works you may find. You may find out analytical, critical, appreciative, pessimistic, optimistic, objective or neutral, cautious, and or tentative, ironic, satirical, didactic. These are different types of tone words, right? So if I talk about the tone words like analytical, so what does that analytical tone word points out? So analytical indicates about examining causes or effects. Objective. Second is called to critical. When I say critical, it means pointing out flaws or limitation. Uh, Even if you talk about appreciative, it's called just showing respect or admiration. So generally, tone and attitude guide is indicating that what kind of author's attitude or author's tone means presents uh, or uploads to the text. Right? Let's talk about that. If it is a pessimistic, it means called to focus on negative outcomes, right? If it is an optimistic, then expecting positive outcomes. If it is an objective or neutral, then it is a factual, balanced, or you can say separated. If it is called a cautious or tentative, it means it tries to give us a suggestive possibilities, not certainty, isn't it? So if it is a didactic, then it can be considered as the trying to teach or you can say that moralize, isn't it? So this is something called as a tone or attitude. The next one which I pointed is called as a clue words. If even if you talk about the passes or the question or the choices in RCs, we find out some of the clues, right, that help us to derive or reach to the answer, isn't it? But when you go to the question or choices, you need to observe some of the clue words which represent strong tone or which represent cautious tone or represent confident tone. Like if you talk about strong tone, I can say that about certain words which are used or engaged in the sentence is called as a must, should, certainty, or certainly, right? Must, should, certainly are nothing but the strong tone. Similar to the cautious tone, I can say that possibility, seems, perhaps, may, these are cautious tone. Tone that also point out the confidence is called as indeed, surely, or you can talk about clearly, right? So these are the tones, you can say that extreme tones which one has to look for when one is going for the what? You can say that finding out the possible answer, right? But remember that these are nothing but one of the wage, isn't it? Fine. Now, I would also like to tell you about common RCs, RC traps actually, common RC traps and fixes. Like, what are the traps that you find out in RC? Second is called as how it uh, puts you in track or how it tricks you and how you can fix it. Isn't it? Trap, common trap, how it tricks to you and how you fix it. Let's say that there are trap, you can say keyword, main word trap. Like you can say that what does that do actually? The keyword which put you in trap, it's called as the kind of a option copies word from passes. right? Like you read the question and then after you find out the four choices. Out of those four choices, you find out some choices, right, having with certain uh, copies of words, right? They have been taken from the passages or they have been taken from the passage, but it changes meaning, but it twists meaning. So, how you can fix it? You need to read two lines above and below to check the real intent or the real meaning, isn't it? That is what again called one of the means of common RC trap, and your means how you can handle. Second is called as a generalization trap. So generalization trap is called as means they generally trick the candidate by means turning specific point into universal truth. Turning specific point into universal truth. At the same time, the candidate has to ask that did author say this about all cases? Isn't it? That's what the candidate needs to ask that what whether the author say this about all cases. Isn't it? Now this is again another common hardship trap. Third is called the fact versus opinion trap. Fact versus opinion trap means what? Now sometimes you find out the data that confuses with nothing but a conclusion, confuses data or confuses conclusion, right? They generally make the candidate in a problem. So how the candidate can get the help or how the candidate can handle it simply by distinguish, right? Making the kind of a differentiation with the what author reports versus what author believes. Author whatever points out and what author believes. So that one candidate has to verify. Even another trap is called as outside knowledge trap. Outside knowledge trap means it tricks the candidate by giving some sounds logical based on the candidate's knowledge, right? So that is what again called as a trick. Remember that means your job is to handle such kind of a questions with a calm and comfortable manner. You need to understand strict. You need to understand and you need to stick strictly to passes that provide evidence. Isn't it? Stick strictly to passes that provides evidence. Isn't it? Another trap you may find out half truth trap. Half truth trap means what? Now it begins correct, but when it goes to the second line or the next couple of sentence words that ends with the wrong notion or wrong information. So in that case, one can handle this by reading full sentence. Don't stop actually in the middle school, right? On. So these are the things again you need to follow when you go for the what? When you go for the common RC traps and how you can fix it, right? So all such kind of things we need to follow. What else? So what else we can do here? We can go for the some more checklist which I would like to provide you before every RC test, right? So one can also follow means the scheme structure. What's that scheme structure? The meaning of scheme or scheming is called as read the intro, body, and conclusion. Intro, body, or conclusion can be known as a scheme structure. So, and mark also 3 or 4 transition words, right? So, and third is called as you need to read with a pencil in mind. Read with the pencil in mind, not eyes only, right? So, and answer main idea after reading all questions, isn't it? So, even we can also go for the for every question actually. For every question, you try to find proof line or eliminate your by rule. And the last is called the if 2 options feel right or close, choose the one which is more general. Got my point? So these are the couple of things that you need to remember while you are preparing for any kind of an entrance exam, specifically in CAT. Now, let's talk about that CAT 2024, the structure and arts of VARC. We all know that the CAT 2024 paper is available in slot 1, slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, with also solutions in the PDF, in a PDF format. Any of the sites you simply type it and you get it, questions with answers. So what I want to point out, the VARC, that the verbal ability and reading comprehension. So in 2024, this section has also mentioned 24 questions in total. And out of this, you will find out 16 are from reading comprehension. So RC passages. And 8 are nothing but the verbal-based verbal ability questions, where you find out sentence placement, paragraph-based question, or odd one out question, summary-based questions. All these questions types are there. So in 25 also, we expect the same, right? Now, each RC passes in the 2024 years. So I have 4 questions associated with it. For example, we can say one of the questions or one of the RC passages that I could remember is having with craftsmanship. So craftsmanship passages which come out from the slot 1, isn't it? And that also has 4 associated questions. So even you also say that the content domain of RC passages, they tend to be from, you can say that humanities, social sciences, philosophy, business, science, environment, all such kind of things are there in the RC passages, isn't it? So in a typical VARC question, we can say that what 4 passages into 4 questions, equal to 16 RC questions, plus 8 verbal ability questions. And what a student actually found, students will face passages of moderate to high, difficulty, often with you can say abstract or conceptual content, right? Now, what actually make these passages difficult and why? When we say that what passages tend to be difficult and so from observing the 2024 paper and past CAT exams, so these are kinds of passages that often challenge students by providing nothing but your abstract or philosophical or conceptual passages. And these kind of passages discuss about mind, art, morality, consciousness, knowledge, isn't it, or other things. The language in these passages is dense, you can say, with the many clauses and theoretical vocabulary. Okay, so that is what you find out in abstract or philosophical or conceptual passages. Second is called as you find out also passages which are interdisciplinary and or hybrid passages. When I say interdisciplinary or hybrid passages, it means passages combining 2 or more fields. Like you can say that philosophy plus neuroscience, plus economic plus sociology. So where one must bridge ideas across domains, right? So third is called as longer passages with the deep argumentation. Longer passages with the deep argumentation. So in these longer passages with deep argumentation, where arguments build gradual with the sub-arguments, right? So counterpoints and the transition, right? So did you understand that? Sub-arguments, counterpoints, and transitions. So one student, some student must actually follow the logic, right? So that is what is highly essential when you look for the longer passage with, deep argumentation. Then the fourth, which I would like to suggest also, passages that depending heavily on implied reasoning or inference. That's what is also called as to make the passages difficult. So passages relying heavily on implied reasoning or inference. So you can say that many questions will not be direct. Many questions, indirectly pointed or not from the fact from passage. But such kind of a passages will require you to do what? Require you to infer from context, or you can say read between the lines. Okay, so the next, which I would also say that what passages with the tricky vocabulary, that also causes difficulty. So tricky, difficult vocabulary in context, especially where a word has a non-common uses. Non-common uses, or where you can say that what you must deduce. You must deduce meaning from surrounding context. So in 2024, the passage example which I said that was the craftsmanship passage, it's one such example. It is a philosophical about craftsmanship, skill, human touch versus mechanization, isn't it? So now let me ask you how the strategies, whatever we discussed, help in the 2024 CAT students or in CAT RC content. So, and that's the reason when most of the students get help and perform better, right? So let's say that the first strategy of skill. So what are the strategy we follow? We follow the mapping passage structure. Mapping passage structure means try to remember first and last lines, transition, isn't it? That's called the mapping passage. Second, it's called as tracking transitions and signal words, which I told you. Third, it's called as most of the students get the help by eliminating wrong options smartly by looking at the too extreme, too narrow, and unsupported. Third, it's called as a finding proof lines for answers, managing time, first read, then question, then revisit. So then you can find out paraphrasing difficult sentences in their own words and handling vocabulary in context, right? So why I think such kind of things help students in CAT? Because remember, when you map the passage, first and last line and transition, you see what you see the skeleton. You see the skeleton of dense arguments quickly. So when you go for the transition signal words, you find out that many passages that pivot or contrast ideas by using those however does and hence. So when you go for the eliminating wrong options smartly, looking for the too extreme, too narrow, and unsupported, so you find out that RC questions and CAT often give tracks to the students that shows mirror passage and faces but twist meaning. So again, I would also say that for finding lines for answer, because every correct answer, especially inference or Excel, must be grounded in the passage, isn't it? So that is why finding two lines for answer is highly essential. Another thing is called the managing time. So first read, then question, then revisit, isn't it? With 60 questions plus verbal items. So 8 verbal items, speed plus accuracy are crucial, right? So, and another thing is called as a paraphrasing difficult sentences in candidates' own words, which is essential because some passages are abstract-based passages, and they often have complex sentences, and they simplify or if you are doing nothing but paraphrasing, it helps you to understand them better. Right. Simple reading cannot help you to understand. So another thing is called as a handling vocabulary in context. So when I say handling vocabulary in context means for unusual word uses, which you find out frequently in RC passages, this skill helps you guess meaning from surrounding text. Right. So the concrete benefit that we draw, it's called as you won't get lost in details. You will know where each question is likely tied. If you do like what mapping, if you go for the tracking, then you get the benefit. It's called as a detective when the author changes direction. So keep you also get the main idea for inference, right? So if you go for the what eliminating wrong options, you save time and avoid falling for distractors, right? So if you go for the finding two flags for answers, you can justify your choice and avoid wrong picks, isn't it? So if you follow the managing time and for that you read question, then with the revision, you did what? Your method gives you a structure. So you don't waste time in random selection or random reading. So when you do the paraphrasing difficult sentences in your own words, what happens? You keep meaning and avoid misinterpretation. And last, when I said that handling vocabulary context includes, you reduces getting stuck on unknown words, right? So in that case, the 2024 month's exam, where the craftsmanship passes come in the first block. So that's what I think. Now, to illustrate, we see how our strategy would apply to one of the real CAT 2024 passages from slot one about craftsmanship. So we first read or skim. We get that the passage argues about the importance of craft, human touch versus mechanization. So I'm giving an example. So when you read, you find out that it tells about importance of craft and human touch versus mechanization. Second, when we look at the Mac transition words, we can say certain phrases, not simply nostalgia, requires unique skills rather than individual parts. These are the transition words. Third, it's called the map paragraphs. So we go with the intro, definition of craft, comparison with the mass production, human touch, emphasize, concluding remarks. Then if we go for the when a question asked which is not consistent with the views. So we scan paragraphs for contradiction or areas that not discussed. Then last, when we go for inference questions, we go back to the relevant lines. We see that what they imply. We check also other options with the elimination. Because each passage has exactly 4 questions, and you know you will need to be precise, clear, and efficient. You can't afford to wander out. Right? Okay. So let's keep till this, and we will discuss also more about taking example from CAT 2023 key fact and structure. We will also go for the finding the difficult passages or challenging areas of CAT 2023. So we will also see that how strategies help with the CAT 2023, and we see that structure and key facts of CAT 22 also. CAT 22, then after CAT 21, right? And we'll do also some example review of 21 and 22. Isn't it? That's what we will do. So till then, try to go through this and apply that to also. I hope this kind of strategies will definitely help not only to the neophytes or for the beginner or amateur, but also experienced holder who would get some kind of a new ideas from this. So hope you like this video, second part of the CAT 2025 strategies. Till then, so enjoy the video, and if you like, please do like, subscribe to get the new videos in your bed at your doorstep. Till then, bye-bye. So do practice, keep keep a kind of persistence, determination, and try to do best in